Yo. Yeah. Coyote Whacker, what is up? Wow. That's not terrible. Oh. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Well, I guess while we're waiting, I can tell you about the weekend. It was a highly above average weekend, I must say. Took the granddaughter to her first professional baseball game. And I'll admit I was a little bit nervous about how, what's that? The Ranger and the Milwaukee Brewer, the makers of beer. I know they don't pay as much as University of Georgia football team, but you know, we all have to struggle somehow. So I was a little nervous. As far as how she'd react, the game was sold out. I didn't know how she would handle a very large crowd, over 40,000 people. She didn't call it a baseball game because she had to word it in terms that she understood. So it was not the baseball game we were going to. It was the baseball team show. Yes. So you could kind of tell that she was already getting a little bit excited, which was good. Basically, she kept up with all of the game presentation. She clapped at the right places. She was understanding the game. And she loved it. She wants to go back. And I was just stunned. And I was so proud of her, and I told her so. Just for her behavior. But I figured, and I tried this theory back in '96 when I had 4 kids of my own, and I took them to Wrigley Field for a Cubs game, which they won 4-1 against the Giants. I don't remember too much. But the theory that I proved in 1996 was that if you kept kids fed with ballpark food, they didn't have time to run around and act a fool. Crafty Dragon, greetings. Well, it does, except adults are placated with beer for a while, and then their behavior swings violently the other way, possibly. So she enjoyed the greatness of the ballpark hot dog, some Dippin' Dots, and a nice big lemonade. So that was, what's that? No, of course not. No, we are not animals. Let's see. All right. So that was very cool. It was 106 degrees outside, but inside the Dome Stadium, it was a sweet, clean 74. Yes, and that stadium is only a few years old, so if we would have had tickets to the old stadium, it would have been hot. So, but yeah, Dome Stadium for a baseball game at first. Oh, Crafty Dragon, we have 3 stories. One is rather large, and 2 were kind of small yet funny, I guess. I mean, the main story, you don't ever see it coming, but that's what makes it fun, I guess. We might as well go ahead and get started. So, we are familiar with the show called Stranger Things, are we? Alright, well, there is a character named Billy, who is kind of a bad dude, but I think right before he gets killed, he's decent. Oh, my bad. Okay. So, we have this lovely young individual, female type, who is perusing the interweb boards and runs into the character in these boards who plays Billy. Yes. And so she's just, you know, she fangirls out because, I mean, it doesn't matter that she's married and whatnot. She's just going to, you know, drop everything because it's now the concept of monkey branching is in the mix. You have a hold of one branch that you know is secure, but by golly, there's one that's up higher that looks pretty decent. So we have to test that branch first to make sure it will hold you. So she starts an online relationship with Billy. Or the character, well, the actor who plays Billy. So he eventually gets her to send him cryptocurrency, numerous, oh, what do you call it? Those cards, like store cards, gift cards, thank you. And a sweet, clean $10,000 in cash because we know that actors don't get paid very well at all. She also decides to divorce her husband because she has Billy, and Billy's cool. Well, she thought she had Billy. Turns out that fangirl got scammed. Whoopsie. So we're out 10,000, we're out gift cards, we're out crypto, and we're out a husband. And the scammer guy has everything. And she has nothing. And I'm floored that people don't think about this stuff. If it's too good to be true, maybe it is. Or is that is she, in her mind, is she finally getting the guy that she thinks she deserves? I don't know. It's amazing to me. Yep, now you know. So that was fun. Somehow I do not. Well, I read the story, and the pièce de résistance is that in the story she is presented as the victim. I mean, okay, a little bit maybe, but how much did you have to do yourself to get to that point? I just don't. And maybe I'm wrong here, but if it's a dude who gets fooled like this by some actress, we're laughing at him, and rightly so. But we have to present the victim. Oy. All right, so second short story. This is stupid guy territory. Equal opportunity here. 25-year-old male caught his girlfriend cheating, and he doesn't know what to do. I have an idea. All right, you coyote whacker, thanks for coming in. So I get dudes being wrapped up in the emotion of being with someone. I get that. But you have to keep your brain on your head. Well, Crafty, that's what I would have thought. I mean, and it seems that simple to me. I mean, you don't need maybe 2 words, dumper. You know, but of course he has to make it difficult and all this kind of garbage. So, he gets, of course, a lot of advice, and everybody pretty much says dumper. I mean, there will be a few sympathetic voices. Well, you have to understand your pain. Dude, you're 25. You have the rest of your freaking life to live. Come on. And if you dump her and she's cheating on you, what did you really lose? Maybe? So I don't. I can't even. All right. So this presents the main story of the evening. This one's a good one. 40-year-old male, 38-year-old female. What? Oh, yeah. I mean, he's so stupid he can't figure it out. I was like, just dump her and move on, dude. What do I do? Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, dump her? All right. Main story. The main event of the evening, as it were. Husband's 40, wife is 38. They've been together in some form or fashion, I would say mostly, for over 20 years. If you have to go back to high school to make the math work, then do it. That's how long they've been together. 3 kids, all daughters, all teens. And everything's been going well. And turns out that one day she comes home in a panic. Nothing's wrong with the family. Nothing's wrong with the husband. Nothing's wrong with the girls. But she comes home early from work, gets a bag together. One of the daughters is home, trying to figure out what's going on. The wife/mother basically says nothing and leaves for 3 days. Husband can't get a hold of her, kids can't get a hold of her, her parents can't get a hold of her. So, turns out that she had been having an affair with a guy from her work for the past 4 years. And this husband really thought highly of his wife. I mean, he praised her up and down. She went back to a store because they gave her $10 too much back in change, so she went back to the store and gave them their money back, saying that, you know, you gave me too much money back. I mean, this was the kind of individual that she was. But now she's missing, gone, and nobody knows why. So, turns out that she was with her affair partner, and she went to work. And I think one of the things that always confuses me, or amuses me, I should say, is that when people do this kind of stuff, they always think, I'm always going to get away with it, and it's going to go on forever, right? There will be, I mean, I'm having so much fun with this. I'm having all the fun I never got in my marriage. It's going to last forever. You know, I got the tingles again. It's all good. Well, affair partner has a heart attack, is at the hospital, and he dies the next morning. So that's why she went and got the bag, is that she spent the night with him in the hospital, and then she basically watched him die. So now she's in the grieving process. And I laugh only because this is all just so peak stupid. She can't talk to her family because she'd have to admit what was going on for the last 4 years. So she basically stays hidden. Yeah. Whoopsies. Yeah. So she stays hidden. All the while grieving the affair partner and thinking that she's still pulling this over on hubby, even though she's been gone for 3 days. Well, in those 3 days, hubby does a little investigation, finds out what's been happening. And so he's going through the ringer mentally. He had no clue. Because most guys don't. We're clueless when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know. So, because I think we tend to put our women on pedestals that they don't deserve. They don't deserve to be there. They are people. They are subject to temptation just like anybody else. And when you mix emotion with temptation, it can lead to bad things. So he finds out what's been going on. He's torn up about it. He has to keep a brave face in front of the daughters because they don't know what the heck's going on. So after about 3 weeks, because between those 3 days, she decided to stay with her parents. Yes, Crafty Dragon, absolutely. And humans make big mistakes. We all do. Except for something like that, maybe. I don't know. So 3 weeks after all this happens, she finally musters up the courage to actually come home. But she issues an ultimatum upon coming in the door. She's like, I'm not ready to talk about this yet. And I'm thinking, if that's me, you're saying that too? No, you don't make the rules no more. Yes, it is, Jason. Thanks for the call back. Yes. Yes, when I was a kid, there used to be a bar we went to when I was, in Wisconsin. And they had the Hams clock, I think. And it was a hand clock, It was not digital, it was, I wanted to say anatomic, but that's not right. It was not digital, and it had almost this picture identical on it with the perpetual waterfall. And I love that thing. Yes. So, back to the main story of the evening. She basically gives him the spiel where she just doesn't want to talk to him yet. And so he lays everything out. Because up until this point, she thought he didn't know anything about the affair. So he lays everything out completely. And she is staggered. Her eyes are like this big. And so she lowers her head and proceeds to say nothing for any and all of his questions. She says nothing. Well, turns out that amongst the group, most upset at the concept of infidelity is possibly your oldest daughter, who happened to be listening to this conversation. I mean, hidden out of sight, but still listening. Listening to the dad lay out everything that the mom's been doing for the last 4 years with this guy who has now assumed room temperature. And, of course, she turns irate in a New York minute. And so, since mom decides to just lower her head and shut up, then eldest daughter rolls in and gives her a dressing down like no other. To the point where mom does the very classy thing, runs up the stairs, locks herself in the bedroom, and hides from her family. Children do know all, and if they don't, they're going to figure it out. That's for sure. So this goes on for a couple of months where they basically coexist. He has started the divorce process. She has not even hired an attorney because it is apparent that she thinks she can just gloss all over this stuff and they can go back to the way they were during the affair. So she tries a number of tactics. She tries the cold tactic, which didn't work. Then she tries the clean everything up and cook everything, and the apology tour and the crocodile tears and all this kind of stuff. And so the husband and this lady finally start talking. And of course, she was very apologetic and basically trying to figure out the magic words to say that will let her stay in that house. But he takes her down with one question. And that question is, if your boyfriend were still alive, you wouldn't be here, would you? And that kind of reduced her to a sobbing mess, because that pretty much illustrates the entire truth right there, that the only reason she's there begging for her spot is because she has nowhere else to go. And so not only does she realize that's the case, but she also realizes that her husband knows that's the case. So he gets her to discuss, if there's any chance of this working out, you have to tell me everything. Well, then he starts getting the dribble drop truths, right? Let's see how minimally I can talk to him until he thinks he's heard enough. Well, this boy has a big appetite, and she has to keep going and going and going. And ultimately, the reason for her 4-year affair was 2 reasons. One, she was bored. Because, whenever you're bored in a marriage, well, the first thing to do is go and look outside for something else, right? You can't stay and work on what's in front of you. Nah. And the main reason, of course, was that it was all the affair partner's fault, because he promised her things. Well, my gosh, how can you turn that down? So, I guess the things you have to do to get the things you were promised. So, it turns out this guy, her affair partner, was also married. Why ruin one family when you can screw up 2? And he finally gets rid of her. Basically, an uncontested divorce. I think he let her have a vehicle out of maybe the 2 or 3 that they had, and he got everything else. So it's just the mindset that you have to be in to think that you're going to get away with something like that for an extended period of time and nothing is ever going to go wrong. I mean, is this about excitement? Is this about the thrill of fooling people? I don't know. You have to have a base level of stupidity to try to do this. I got nothing. I don't know. It just boggles my mind that people can do this. And I mean, first of all, the husband should have been paying attention. I'm not going to blame him for any of this necessarily, but there had to have been clues during those 4 years that told him, hey, something's not right here. But I don't know. I would like to understand how this works, because nothing goes forever. And when were you going to stop? I mean, let's say he survives. It's still going on? Yeah. Well, when's it going to stop? I don't know. Still having too much fun? Yep. I can't comprehend thinking like that. I just can't. So, I don't know. Maybe the chat can come up with some ideas here for me, because I don't know how that works. So, but yeah, that's those are the stories for the evening, as wild and goofy as they are. From somebody getting spammed out of cash and store cards and crypto, to the guy not knowing what to do with his cheating girlfriend, Dumper. So, well, alrighty. Crypto, yeah. Yeah, very valuable stuff. Probably like Litecoin or something. You know, not the good stuff, but, you know. Yeah. Yeah, she could have. Yeah, that's pretty much right, Crafty. Yeah. I don't get the whole, the boredom allows me to do this, allows me to do X. I mean, maybe you could have tried something at home? Or is that just, I can do that anytime. Eh. I don't know. Maybe there is a need to feel wanted by someone other than your husband? I mean, it's still horribly wrong and twisted, but is there some sort of logical pattern that comes from that? I don't know. Insecurity? Could be. Yep. Yeah. Lack of discipline? You know? I mean, if you are one who believes in the faith, right? Where is this affair partner? On which side of the equator is he on, spiritually speaking? Having just, you know, the whole adultery thing and that kind of stuff. Is you gonna get away with that forever? I mean, if you can't come up with a decent way to be a good human, that doesn't even come into play? Yeah, apparently. Lack of morals and values, yeah. I mean, where is that little voice in your head that says, don't do that? You know, or is the thrill of the chase and of being caught just like, go away, and do that later? I run these kind of things through my mind, and I think if I ever did try to do something like that, I'd be scared to death, literally. It's not worth it. I mean, if you can't come up with a moralistic reason not to do something, then at least look at the practical. It's like it's not going to work. You know, run all the scenarios through your mind of what could go wrong, and then realize that you basically hit the tip of the iceberg, because there's a whole bunch of other stuff out there that you didn't even think about. And then let that sink in. I mean, you're trying to control a lot of different variables all at one time, and it doesn't work. So, all right. Well, that was a good one. 3 stories for the evening. There they were. think I'll go ahead and call this night a bit early. It's still a lot of fun. I'm going to see if I can find more stories like this and do videos out of them. Go like that. That would be cool. So I have to go downstairs and learn a synthesizer part for Magic Man by Heart. Yes, that. Boom, 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 boom. That's what I gotta learn. So. Bum, ba-da-dum, bum, 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 bum. Yeah. Well, alrighty. Thanks everybody for attendance. And hopefully I will see you next week. And I will give a little bit more notice so that everybody knows what's going on. Until then, it is one thing left to say, and that would be, meh.